Ladies and gentlemen, in today's video, we're going to go over who I think are some of the most misused WWE superstars in all of 2025. I have 10 entries here, both a combination of single stars and tag teams that I'm going to go through, and I'll try to explain to you why I think WWE has fumbled them in 2025 so far. And of course, I encourage you in the comment section to let me know who you think WWE has misused this year. And as always, don't forget to subscribe to the channel, ring the bell for notifications. If you're a wrestling fan, I know that you're going to fall in love with this YouTube channel because we always upload daily wrestling content. All right, folks, that's enough. Let's just jump into it. Okay, folks, let's start things off by talking about the most obvious person on this list, the one that is at the top of everybody's minds right now, and that is, of course, Julia. And the reason why Julia is top of mind for some people is because of how she recently lost her United States Championship in arguably one of the worst ways that I've seen a singles champion drop their singles belt on WWE TV in the last 5 years. We have Julia, somebody that was positioned as this dominant force within the women's mid-card on Friday Night SmackDown, getting rolled up by a comedy act in Chelsea Green in a match that went for under 2 minutes on a throwaway episode of Friday Night SmackDown. Please, somebody make that make sense. But the fundamental problems with Julia aren't even just the United States Championship loss, it's her entire main roster run in 2025. It's been very inconsistently booked right from her first initial call-up, where she was just on Monday Night Raw, partnering up with Roxanne Perez, somebody that she had been feuding with on NXT. Now all of a sudden beating up people on Monday Night Raw, taking L after L after L, and then all of a sudden magically appearing on Friday Night SmackDown. And I thought that once she got moved over to SmackDown and there was more of a focus of her being a single star going after singles championship gold, that we would be on the right path for Julia. In fact, here's the funny thing about Julia's first initial run on the main roster is you could actually sit down and make the argument that she's had a wonderful year. At the end of the day, how many NXT call-ups can you name that have won singles championship gold within the first couple of months of their main roster run? The list is not very long, folks, so Julia is in elite company. However, winning the United States Championship for the women's division means absolutely nothing, clearly, because that championship in that division is basically just fake. It doesn't really exist in the eyes of WWE based on how WWE has treated it since it's become a thing. So all they did was give Julia a prop that didn't give her more screen time, a prop that didn't give her more matches, a prop that didn't give her more feuds or storylines, and all it did was set her up to take an embarrassing loss at the end of the day. Julia is just too damn good to be put into these shackled situations, and certainly too damn good to not be utilized week in and week out on Friday Night SmackDown. I have fingers crossed that with this extra hour on Friday Night SmackDown, it forces WWE to actually feature the Women's United States Championship division a lot more, which hopefully will give more runway for somebody like Julia to truly be able to flourish. At the end of the day, a lot of people will make the argument that Julia just shouldn't have been called up in the first place, and it seems, based on the lack of plans that WWE had for her, that I'm kind of starting to agree with that sentiment. She should have just stayed in NXT. Let's talk about a guy that will always be on this list, seemingly, and that is, of course, Drew McIntyre. The reason why Drew McIntyre seems to always be on these lists is because I think so many people believe that Drew McIntyre is capable of so much more. Here's the thing, we're not talking about somebody that doesn't get TV time, that doesn't get matches, that doesn't get feuds. This guy is prominently featured. It's just that me and a lot of people believe that he is so talented to the point that we should be talking about him in the same breath as some of the main eventers that get all of the pushes, that get all of the accolades. Meanwhile, when it comes to Drew McIntyre, it seems to be a lot of start, stop, start, stop, start, stop throughout the year. It started off hot with him becoming the bloodline hunter, and it had everyone captivated. Oh my God, is this ultimately going to lead to Drew McIntyre going after every member of the bloodline and then going up against Roman Reigns at WrestleMania, the head of the bloodline? Wow, that's going to be so sick. Psych, here's Damian Priest for the next 5 months, a feud that Drew McIntyre lost, by the way. And then all of a sudden, it's like, okay, now he's back. He's feuding with Randy Orton. Just kidding. Here's a side plot with Jelly Roll and Logan Paul, and hey, now he's back in the WWE Championship picture, and he's just losing left, right, and center. It's just so inconsistent with Drew McIntyre. They don't seem to know what they want him to be. Do they want him to be an upper mid-carder feuding with the Jacob Fatus and the Damian Priestes of the world, or do they want him in the main event with Randy Orton or Cody Rhodes? It does show that he's a very, very versatile performer, which is part of the reason why so many fans believe that he is versatile enough to lead a brand if they really give him the opportunity to. Yeah, it's just so fascinating to have a guy on this list that is getting used really often, that doesn't get put into catering on a regular basis. But at the end of the day, there seems to be just so much untapped potential that fans across the world clearly see with Drew McIntyre, and WWE just seems to fail to pull the trigger on a very regular basis. Let's not forget, this is the guy that had like one of the best feuds of the last decade with CM Punk, and they did nothing to follow up on it, unfortunately. Maybe one day we'll be talking about Drew McIntyre in a significantly better light. Maybe one day WWE will recognize the gold that they clearly have with this guy, but as of right now, as of the making of this video, it doesn't seem like they see it. Here's an interesting 2-for-1. Let's talk about Finn Balor and JD McDonagh. Of course, we know that Finn Balor is the president of the here's a superstar that's been misused every single year of his career on the main roster, but in 2025, it's a little bit different. For me, the misuse of somebody like Finn Balor comes twofold. It comes in their inability to actually push forward the narrative that WWE continues to hint at, which is the feud between him and Dominic Mysterio. And I get it, Triple H loves his long-term storytelling, but sometimes there's storylines that are smaller in scale, like infighting within the Judgment Day between Finn Balor and Dominic Mysterio, that just simply don't need a year, 2 years to be told. Sometimes you can just take the low-hanging fruit and pull the trigger on the storyline so that you aren't just yanking us around as we continue to wait for the inevitable storyline to unfold, because sometimes it just straight up doesn't, or sometimes you have injuries that happen that halt storylines, like what happened with Liv Morgan. So there's that side with Finn Balor. So where does JD McDonagh come in? Well, it comes in the second half of Finn Balor's misuse in 2025, which is, of course, the complete colossal failure that was their run as WWE World Tag Team Champions. I think that many people might genuinely, and I wouldn't blame them, put Finn Balor and JD McDonagh, based on their combined reigns as World Tag Team Champions, as maybe the worst World Tag Team Champions in the history of the WWE. And it's not because of lack of talent, it's because WWE seemingly had no interest in booking the Raw Tag Team division at all whatsoever. And when you're the champions of a division that WWE seems to show no interest in, well, the spotlight is kind of on you. And that's what happened with Finn Balor and JD McDonagh, as they went over 100 days not defending their championship, defending the championship, like once successfully since winning it in 2025. It was very, very ridiculous. And here's the sad part. Once they started to finally use Finn Balor and JD McDonagh within the tag team division at the very end of their championship reign, and now chasing the championships after AJ Styles and Dragon Lee, it just reminded the world how good these guys were, because they are just having incredible matches within the tag team division. So it just begs the question, why in the world did you not use them when they were actually champions? And I don't want to hear the argument of, hey, WWE is just trying to create scarcity amongst their champions, so you want to see them more. That doesn't work when the division doesn't even exist in the first place. So yeah, in terms of the lack of utilization of these two as tag team champions, and then more specifically Finn Balor and their inability to actually execute on any storylines that he's been a part of in 2025, makes them, and individually Finn Balor, some of the most misused superstars in 2025. But I think you can make the argument that Finn Balor has been the most misused WWE superstar in 2024, 2023, 2022, going all the way back to like 2017. Here's one that will shock you, but once you really hear the argument, you won't disagree, and that's Randy Orton. Randy Orton is too damn good to have only been featured in like 2 PLEs this year. He wasn't at the Royal Rumble. He didn't get a match at Elimination Chamber. He basically didn't get a match at WrestleMania, getting the quick squash match with Joe Hendry. He was the central focus point of the Backlash match. That was pretty cool. He wasn't in Money in the Bank. He was at Night of Champions in the finals of the King of the Ring. That was pretty cool. He was put in a tag match at SummerSlam, and then we haven't really seen him be featured at all whatsoever. Randy Orton is way too damn big of a name, not just in WWE, WWE, but the entirety of the industry. This is one of those names that if you say to a non-wrestling fan, they'll probably know the name Randy Orton, probably from the out of nowhere memes that went viral in 2009. He is too big of a star. He is way too valuable, too great of a worker to not be featured at all whatsoever. Now, here's the thing. As fans that don't really have a finger of the pulse of like what's happening backstage, we don't know the reason why. We don't know if it's Randy Orton having a part-time contract. We don't know if it's WWE trying to save Randy Orton for bigger matches. We don't know if it's Randy Orton taking vacations. Like, we don't know. All I know is that Randy Orton just simply has not been featured enough in 2025, especially considering this is a year that had John Cena as WWE champion and also a year that once again had Cody Rhodes as champion. That perfectly sets us up for the Randy Orton heel turn and the Randy Orton Cody Rhodes feud that so many of us have been waiting for. But then again, you'll have the defenders say, just let Papa H cook. How long do you need in the kitchen, right? Because like it's been years since this man has been just staring at that title. It's silly to say that Randy Orton is like a misutilized star because of just how prestigious his career has been. You can't really ruin Randy Orton, but as fans, we want to see more of a guy like Randy Orton, and we simply just have not gotten enough in 2025, which to me puts him on a prime candidate for most misused in 2025. Here's a weird one, John Cena, because even though he's gotten all of the glitz and the glamour of his farewell tour, he got to turn heel, he got to win a championship, he's gotten to main event a bunch of PLEs, it still feels like there was something left along the way. A piece of the soul of the farewell tour was left behind with The Rock and Travis Scott. Listen, I am a big defender of the John Cena heel run because it failed, and I agree, it failed not because of John Cena, and I dare even say not even because of WWE. I blame the external factors that, to be fair, WWE allowed into this equation in the first place in The Rock and Travis Scott. Sure, John Cena won the 17. Yes, John Cena won the Intercontinental Championship, but there is no way, no reason why WWE should have fumbled what would have been the biggest heel turn in the history of this industry. And the reason why it fumbled was because they relied on people that they shouldn't have relied on in the first place. So what was left was just John Cena trying to carry this heel turn storyline that never had a finish line. John Cena was left to drown on his own as the other folks that were supposed to be there to help anchor this storyline to make it into this super huge deal, this massive heel turn, were just nowhere to be seen, which led to this babyface turn that felt out of nowhere, that felt like they were just pulling a parachute, that it just felt like WWE was giving up because they basically were, because they had no choice but to give up because they put John Cena's heel run on the hands of people that were never going to be there in the first place. And yeah, sure, don't even get me fucking started on WrestlePalooza and Brock Lesnar. That was a complete mess as well, because it seemed that by SummerSlam, when they turned him babyface, they give him back his colors, and it was just a party. It felt good. It was a vibe. And then they bring out Brock Lesnar to just eat him alive and ruin the party just so that the party can continue on after him. I will defend John Cena to the ends of the earth with this heel run. This is not his fault. John Cena, in an interview, he took credit for it. He says it was his fault, that he failed, that he wasn't able to make an actual connection as a heel. I disagree with all of that. I think it is everyone's fault except John Cena. But hey, look, at the very least, we're back to the party. We're back to having fun. And I am very confident that this retirement show is going to be a tremendous success. But the year of 2025, it's going to leave a lot to be desired when historians start looking back at the John Cena retirement run. LA Knight, this is kind of the poster child of like, hey, what are we doing here? This is the guy that we clearly want, but you keep shoving the yeet down our throat instead of the yeah. LA Knight at this point is a tale as long as time when it comes to the WWE, the guy that gets himself organically over, that the people love, that the people are vocal about, that the internet raves about. The WWE simply just says, nah, here's Jey Uso instead. It's happened in every single decade of professional wrestling. Funnily enough, the last one that was a huge one with the people and the internet was, of course, Zack Ryder, who LA Knight recently had to face in the John Cena Farewell Tour tournament. I don't think that that was a coincidence. But here's the thing, like with LA Knight, like what does he have to do? He continues to have solid matches. He's great in the ring. He has great promos. He connects with the crowd. Like what else do you want from the guy? And instead of pushing a guy like this, WWE seems to want to find every excuse to not feature him. Please, somebody make it make sense how LA Knight is the guy that's been feuding with the Vision since basically the onset, the birth of the Vision, and he's being the one left out of the War Games match in exchange for Cody Rhodes, who's had done nothing with the Vision in the past. Now, here's the thing, like, do I think that LA Knight should be winning world championships? I mean, it'd be nice. It'd be kind of cool for WWE to explore somebody that's become this crowd favorite as world champion. Sure, why not? But for me, it's not even about the fact that he's just not winning world championships. It's just the fact that he's not being featured in things that he clearly should be featured in, like we talked about at War Games. Now, let's talk about the Wyatt Six. And I'm not somebody that is on this bandwagon that's recently started to take a lot of steam, which is that the Wyatt Six ruined the momentum of the SmackDown tag team division. This was clearly WWE's decision to stop featuring the division as much as they were and started to focus more on giving individual storylines within the division, like, of course, Wyatt Six and the Profits and everything going on with Ilya Dragunov and DIY and Fraxium and things that are going on there. They've decided to focus more on individual storylines and allowing the Wyatt Six to be more of this overarching villain. But here's the thing, the whole overarching villain thing that they have them play, I don't think they're doing a particularly great job of playing that role right now. It feels like they're just sort of a regular tag team. They don't really feel like this final boss of the tag team division that I think that they're trying to portray them as by having them appear in the background of different tag team backstage segments or whatnot. Similarly to Drew McIntyre, feels like there's a lot of start, stop with the momentum of the Wyatt Six. I mean, you can look back at previous years where they came in so hot into the company and then they just kind of disappeared. And then now we look at this current year where they've started this feud with MFT and it kind of created this like buzz, this excitement of something new, these big scary factions of Friday Night SmackDown going up against each other, and then disappear. They just are having a really tough time at executing in a timely manner anything of substance for the Wyatt Six, it seems. And the other problem I find with the Wyatt Six is that their philosophies don't actually lead to any major ramifications within Friday Night SmackDown. This testing of the Brotherhood hasn't actually created this change within the tag team division that I think WWE is trying to portray. We didn't get this Street Profits heel turn. We didn't get the Street Profits, turning on each other. Same thing with their feud with DIY, and like we just haven't seen them actually impact the tag team division in the way that I think they should be. And sure, they're winning tag team championships and they're being utilized down in AAA, but I also look at the wider group and they're barely using Rowan. They don't use Nikki Cross for anything aside from just appearing in the background of things, and they seldomly ever use Bo Dallas for anything now, it seems. So even like within the group, it's very weird in terms of like who gets used and who doesn't. It seems like it's very fragmented in that way here in 2025. I have Rey Fenix on the list because it does feel like Rey Fenix throughout the majority of his entire time in 2025 since being signed by the WWE has been fairly directionless, and I don't even think it's anybody's fault here. I think the clear direction for Rey Fenix has always been teaming up with Penta and reuniting the Lucha Brothers, but to do that would mean to halt Penta's momentum as a single star, momentum that he has garnered, and honestly, they shouldn't stop by putting him into the tag team division. I would love to have the Lucha Brothers be reunited someday, but not at the cost of Penta's singles popularity, because Penta is a type of guy that might be winning singles gold sometime soon based on the popularity and the way that he's connected with the fans. But it is Penta's popularity that's kind of leaving Rey Fenix in purgatory where they're just trying to team him up with anyone that isn't doing anything else, like teaming him up with Shinsuke Nakamura, teaming him up with Andrade. But we all know what we want. What we want is him teaming up with Penta. But the way to do it is to kind of damage and ruin Penta, and we don't want that. So it's a bit of a catch-22 situation with Rey Fenix. Like, genuinely, I don't think it's anybody's fault. I think Rey Fenix is just sort of waiting until the right moment for them to pull the trigger to reunite him with Penta. And I don't know when that right moment will be, because I don't want it to be anytime soon, because Penta's doing such a great job over on Monday Night Raw by himself. So that will mean that until that moment arises, probably deeper into 2026, maybe even 2027, maybe never, Rey Fenix will just sort of continue to bounce and bounce and bounce from place to place, never really finding a home anywhere within any of the divisions, singles or tag teams, mid-card or main event on Friday Night SmackDown. And I think that's a shame, because Rey Fenix is so incredibly talented. American Made is a silly enigma. I don't understand their booking in 2025. I get it. Chad Gable got hurt. The whole El Grande Americano gimmick kind of goes out the window, and they were so centered around the whole El Grande Americano thing. But even without Chad Gable, you have somebody in Ivy Nile that would be a perfect addition into the women's mid-card, or feuding with the current women's world champion in Stephanie Vaquer. There is no reason why somebody of the talent of Ivy Nile shouldn't be utilized in some capacity, in some way, on the main roster on Monday Night Raw. And then there's the Creed brothers, who would be perfect for this tag team division, but WWE refuses to do anything with the tag team division. They have talent there that should be utilized in some way, shape, or form that simply just isn't. And there's no reason why they shouldn't be. Like, if the only reason is that, well, Chad Gable's not here, so we can't really do anything with the rest of the people of American Made, well, that's a problem. Like, that is a personnel problem that you have, where 3 people are only valuable if one guy is present. That's not good. Like, I think about how dead the mid-card division is on Friday Night SmackDown. Like, why didn't they go over there and have Ivy Nile be one of the anchor points of the women's mid-card over there, so that they actually had bodies for? And the tag team division on Friday Night SmackDown was actually kind of blossoming and flourishing. That's where the Creed brothers should have been, because at least they would have been used there as a tag team, as opposed to Monday Night Raw, where they have no desire to use tag teams, it seems. And this one's for my NXT fans. Jordynne Grace. I think at this point, Jordynne Grace is on, like, I'm exaggerating, it feels like her 17th world championship loss, whether it's going after the NXT title or the TNA title in some capacity. She just continues to professionally lose big match after big match after big match, when honestly, she should be treated so much better than the way that she's been on NXT. Not only that, but she might be one of the most egregious victim of getting Def Rebelled, having one of the biggest downgrades in entrance themes in all of 2025. And that's saying a lot, because some people have gotten Def Rebelled to Kingdom Come. Jordynne Grace got Def Rebelled out of existence. Seriously, go and listen to her theme song from TNA that she used for her first couple of months on NXT, and then listen to the absolute generic ass garbage that they Def Rebelled her with. But here's why I actually think that she's been misutilized, aside from just like not pulling the trigger on her on NXT. She should just not be on NXT. She should have been called up to the main roster, a main roster that could have, oh my God, benefited deeply from having a Jordynne Grace in the Women's United States Championship division. It was so simple, so easy. In fact, it was so simple and easy that we all thought it was happening. We all basically had her confirmed being called up alongside all of these other names like Stephanie Vaquer, Julia, and Roxanne Perez to get called up to help bolster the Women's United States Championship division. But then they made the decision to keep her on NXT, a decision that I think is a mistake, if you ask me. All right, folks, we'll leave it there. This is your chance in the comments section to tell me who you think has been misutilized in 2025, because there are a lot of people. It's not just the people that I listed here. These are just the people that are top of mind for me. But that's it, folks. I'll talk to you soon. Take care. Goodbye. Get out of here.